So the occasion for this review is my having traded for a couple of samples with Tan on the Aficionados Discord server. Hi, Tan. And one of the things I got out of this was a little sample bottle, a little 2-ounce sample bottle of Clairin Sonson. This is the European release. It hasn't come out in America yet. That's going to be a little while coming. I don't know. So I don't feel totally confident in nailing this thing down, something like this down in in the length of 2 ounces. So I will definitely be doing another video on this stuff at some point. But in the interest of cornering the YouTube market on Clairin reviews, I'm going to be doing a preliminary take on this. But I didn't want to throw in a sparring partner for it, right? And I didn't want to do another one of the Clairins. Instead, I'm going to use this Saint James Coeur de Chauffe. So this is, I've actually talked about this in the very first Clairin review that I did on Clairin Merlot. This is, so Saint James Distillery in Martinique has a working pot still, sort of working traditional alambic setup alongside their, usual Creole style column still, which they use most of the time. And they actually still make a little bit of rum on the thing. They cannot call it Martinique rum or Martinique Rhum Agricole because of the legal regulations. It has to be made, on a Creole still. So they have to. You will see them tiptoeing around this. They only put Martinique way at the bottom there. I'm not even sure you can see that as just the location of the place where it is made, because the AOC is that strict, and they just call it a Rhum Blanc Agricole. So, but it's an example of a pot distilled, double pot distilled actually, rum made outside of Haiti, and this is the Clairin. So if you're new to this and you don't want to know what a Clairin is, roughly speaking, it's a kind of Haitian rum, not Barbancourt. Barbancourt is made in a sort of fairly large industrial facility. Clairin is the micro distillery stuff. These are small, like a couple of people, small family setups, it's distilleries in someone's backyard. Think mezcal, but Haiti and rum, and you're sort of getting there. Local native cane varietals, wild fermentation, all that good stuff. This is from the Velier folks, who've done the vast majority of Clairin releases so far, although there's some others that are catching up, and I'll get to the specifics of this in a little bit. So let's pour these things. So it's going to be Martinician pot distilled Agricole versus Haitian Clairin. That is the setup for today. And I'll think of some fun. Once I get a full bottle of this, once it comes out, in the U.S. properly. By the way, I don't think this is available in the U.S. either. I'm really sorry. I can't control, the importing choices of the world. I wish I could, but I can't. All right. So let's get into the Saint James. Again, they're not saying what cane varietals are using for this. I'm guessing, since they're not, waving any organic flag or anything, I'm guessing this is, pretty standard, industrial style cane varietals. I'm guessing they're pitching their yeast still. But the pot distilled aspect of this is very interesting. So let's give this a whirl. On the nose. By the way, 60% alcohol, which I'm guessing is not that far away from still strength. I'm guessing this is distilled to, somewhere in the 60s or maybe low 70s. On the nose, the Saint James is extremely clean. I'm getting some brine, a lot of fennel on this, some olive juice, And then a kind of tropical fruitiness. There's some guava. There's some kiwi in there. There's a little hint of like nail polish and a little tar, but this is very clean. Some plastic smoke, which is kind of something I commonly get in cane juice based rum, but nice plastic smoke. Little bit of like a crabapple note, actually. If you ever like just kind of smelled an open crabapple, and a little bit of something that reminds me of like an Alsatian Pinot Blanc. You know, they're not very expensive. Terrific wines, by the way. If you're not into Pinot Blanc, you should change your ways. And something a little bit like nutty, almost almondy, but very green. Little grapefruit zest, but now that I'm picking up on the almondy thing, it's hard to get away from. On the palate, oh man. So if you've never just, when you're a kid, you just like grabbed like some green nuts and kind of tried to eat them. This is kind of what we're getting here. It's very nutty, but it's like unroasted green nuts. Lots of fennel too, where the fennel comes back. Some olives, mixed olives. More floral on the palate than it is on the nose. That is extremely, for 60% ABV, this is extremely easy drinking. You could get messed up on this really easily, actually. Again, assuming you're into the cane juice rum thing, this is an easy drinker. Dried flowers, crabapple again. That kind of modest tar, smoky plastic thing again. A little fruity, but not too much. Guava, mango. Some, oh, what is that? Like a salted licorice, but sweeter than most of the salted licorice I've had. Maybe like throw some, you know, the pumpkin candies, the little things from Halloween. Throw some pumpkin candies in there. This is very poised. It's very drinkable. It's not the most complex thing. Definitely not the most complex cane juice rum I've ever had. But yeah, man, this is just, it's easy. It's not pushing me too hard. In a way, I mean, the closest comparison for me would be the Capovilla Rhum Rhum PMG from formerly from Biel Distillery, but in any case from Guadalupe. This is kind of doing the same thing. I think the Rhum Rhum would age better, but this seems to be actually showing a little bit better in the glass as a sort of unaged Agricole Blanc. All right, so what I'm going to do is give this a couple squirts of water. We're going to come back to it after I hit the Clairin and see how it does. It's 2 enough? It's 60%. It's probably not going to be enough. Nope, a little more, like 1.5 squirts. And again, the water is not because like I'm a wimp or anything like that. It's because I'm doing a review, and if you're not seeing like how your spirit performs under a little bit of pressure, you know, and water is a great way to add pressure to a spirit, then I don't think you're getting a full picture. So I try to add, you know, assuming it's not at 40% and you're not just gonna like crash the thing right off the bat, I try to add water to everything I'm tasting, even if it's just a couple drops. All right, so we'll come back to that in a bit. On to the Clairin. All right, this is interesting. So this is from Cabaret in Haiti, which I forgot. I should have looked this up. I think it's close to Port-au-Prince. I think it's closer to that area than any of the other Clairins that we've had. Master distiller Stefan Kalil Saoud. By the way, Tan is much better at Photoshop than I am. He actually like made a little version of the label to put on the sample bottle. It's a little pixelated, but I'm impressed. I like this. I'm impressed. So it's pot distilled from Madam Meuze cane varietal, which is native to Haiti. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because it's from Clairin. It's the same kind of varietal which is used in Clairin Vival, which is to my palate the most extreme and vegetal and challenging of the Clairins we've yet seen. But it's not made from cane juice like Vival is. This is actually made from cane syrup made from Madam Meuze. So they've boiled down the cane juice a little bit in the same style as something like Clairin Le Rocher, or even something like the little Clairin Saint Benevolence. They mix a little bit of the Saint Benevolence has a little mix of pure cane juice in there, but it's majority cane syrup. So wild fermented, wild yeast. So so cane syrup based, but with a different cane varietal, a very vegetal cane varietal, and we're not using the sort of dunder system that Le Rocher uses. So this is so you could imagine this as a kind of halfway in between point between Le Rocher and Vival, but you know maybe Saint Benevolence is hanging in the background there. All right, Clairin Sonson, 2018 vintage, by the way. 53.2% alcohol. I mean, this is just on the nose. It's a different universe. Yeah, having these two. Hold on. Having these two side by side is really a study in just how different. That's different isn't the right word. This is, if I was speaking about the Saint James as being a little bit olivey, this is like just a pile, a world of olives. This is so much more expressive on the nose. It's just coming out of the glass and punching me in the face, and the fist is made of olives. And a little bit of wood glue. Some pickle juice. Yeah, both of these, so pot distilled, but different. Obviously, they're going to be using a different pot distilled apparatus, and wild fermented. I am pretty sure the Saint James is using, like, they're adding their own yeast. They're controlling the fermentation pretty tightly. This is wild fermented. This is from the environment, and boy, does that come through. The pickle juice. There's something in this that reminds me of like a red Sancerre. So Loire Valley Pinot Noir. That kind of very pickly, savory, herbaceous character of Pinot Noir. Some white pepper, some like mint, but it's mint that you've kind of muddled with maybe with some bitters. Artichoke, like cooked artichoke. Maybe you've marinated it a little bit beforehand. More aniseed than fennel this time on this. Some tomato notes, maybe but not like red tomato. It's more like fried green tomatoes. Seawater, you live on the coast and you have a basement and the basement just flooded with seawater. That kind of smell. Seaweed. And almost like a seaweed smoke smell, like some of the seaweed dried out and then you lit it on fire. That's kind of what I'm smelling on this. And more olives, just olives forever. More green olive on this is mixed olives. This is more just green olives and so much of it. This is olives on 11. The closest, the Clairin Merlot and the Clairin Benevolence, the two big non-Velier Clairins come close to this in the level of olives, but I think this actually surpasses them by a lot. On the palate, here we go. there's a surprise. On the palate, so a lot of things going on. What is this big surprise for me is how sweet this is. This is, it's very savory at the same time, but this is like borderline delicious on just the level of sugar being kind of given to me. I mean, it's not that it's actually sugary, but it comes across as very sweet. We're getting cane, both cane juice and syrup mixed with fennel, like fresh grass, fresh like wildflowers, and then tons of olives again. There's a little bit of like a white tea note. No, scratch white tea. Nettle tea. If you've never had nettle tea, that's a tasty note to have. White pepper. Like sun-dried tomato alongside that sort of fried green tomato note again. That muddled mint thing is still there. Something, what is that? Something savory. Maybe a hint of soy sauce, but there's something else going on there. Maybe like fresh tempeh, like you open the tempeh pack and just took a bite out of it. We're getting close, like something soy based, a little bit salty, a little bit minerally, and then that seawater kind of like seaweed smoke thing again. Wow, this is really, there's a lot going on in this. All right, but I will, hold on, one more try. Yeah, the shocking thing is just how sweet it is on the arrival. If it didn't have that, I feel like a lot of this would just be a little bit too aggressive and austere, but when it's there, man, this works extremely well. This is a study in contrast. This is very sessionable and friendly. I still feel like this is not as anywhere near as sessionable and friendly. Like this is challenging. This is going to fight you, but the sweetness on the palate is going to kind of give you a little helping hand to help you survive the onslaught of olives and pickles and fennel and seawater on fire that is going on in this little sample bottle. All right, so I'm going to give this a couple squirts, and we'll come back to it in a minute. Oh, almost had a little accident there. Let's see if that's enough. Again, we're starting at 52.3% alcohol. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Just a hair, just like a half squirt, like a third of a squirt. All right, back to the San James. I mean, coming back from the Clairin, this is just, we're back to civilization. And that is not to say that this is like particularly civilized. Like your granddad is not going to like this. Your dad who likes football is probably not going to be into this. But man, I feel like, you have some rum nerds or even just like spirits nerds around who have a little bit of an open mind. Like you can drink this all night long. With water, it actually changes considerably, which I like to see. Because I don't recall the Capovilla, which is like the closest competition for this, being this, this much of a chameleon when you add water to it. Not like it's a totally different thing, but it's fruitied up a lot actually. More fruity, more peppery. There's lots of lychee fruit now. It's a little bit more floral. There's some floral notes on the palate, which I mentioned before, but it wasn't that floral on the nose. Now it's becoming more floral on the nose. Orange juice, just straight up like supermarket orange juice, some grapefruit juice in there. And even like a, I don't remember, I don't just remember the tropical Skittles. The Skittles that came in the weird tropical flavors and with the weird, slightly off colors. That's kind of what it smells like. Like you popped a fresh bag of tropical Skittles and you kind of crush them down so you can smell them better. It's very nice, but it still has that like smoky side to it. That kind of plastic smoke thing going on, accompanied with the grapefruit and the orange. It's nice. On the palate, oh hell. I should do a video about this. This is one of those cases where I can't score this objectively on the 100-point Parker scale, 100-point Serge Valentin scale, as highly as I would the Clairin. But I feel like if there were like a sessionability scale, like a drinkability scale, this would be not off the charts, but very, very high on the charts. And this would not be. And I feel like that's not captured in most of the kinds of reviews we do, and I should talk about that at some point. But this is a pale ale. This is, break this out all night long with your pals, just for drinking purposes. This is nice. This is delicious. Again, fruity's up, gets a little bit sweeter. Fennel, flowers, grapefruit, lime, different kinds of lime. The lime juice, but also lime peel. The olives, mixed olives, kind of leaning more towards black olive now, actually. And we're still on those sort of smoky, tarry notes, that the nuttiness is still there. To the extent that a pot-distilled rum Agricole can be sessionable, this is hugely sessionable. And I want you to keep that in mind. Listen to what I'm saying right now. Do not pay all your attention to the score. Listen to what I'm saying. I can drink this all night long, and I would be very happy. Score-wise, I'm going to give this an 86 out of 100. I like it a little bit more than the Capovilla and also the Providence, which is in that same kind of style. I don't think those would age better, but this is delightful. 86 out of 100. If you're hosting a party with some Agricole nerds, go buy a bottle. It's not even that expensive, actually, at least on the European market. All right, moving on to our Clairin. Put this over there. All right, back to Clairin Sonson 2018. Now with a little bit of water. To my surprise, it doesn't actually develop all that much. It develops much less than the St. James did. And that's okay. That's not unheard of. Like Casimir, Clairin Casimir, also to my palate, did not develop very much with the addition of water. It's not a ding on it. It's just kind of something to keep in mind. Yeah, we're still very much on olives, pickles, that kind of green tomato-y note. That very savory aspect, the artichoke thing. All that's still there. It hasn't really changed much with water. And that's okay because it's still a terrific, explosive, hugely characterful nose. On the palate, not a huge difference, but it is there. I think it might have sweetened up a little bit, but more than that is the minerality. The minerality comes out. I am tasting the crushed rocks and the sea salt and the you know, the chalk in this. But we're still but it's still basically the same thing as it was before. So cane, fennel, olives, that floral thing, the flowers. We're just gonna throw some rocks and chalk and like sea salt and kosher salt in there, along with everything that was in there before, and maybe a little bit more sweetness, and maybe a little like plantain in there too. Hold on. Yeah, a little plantain comes out. Seriously good. I'll come back to this when I can get a full bottle, but right now I am, you know, as impressed as I am by the sort of by the majority of the Clairins that I've had. This kind of lands towards the middle of the pack. I would give this an 89. Let's call it an 89 question mark because I don't feel totally confident in that yet, but okay, 89 question mark. It's good. This is a good one. All right, so set that aside. So, pot distilled cane juice or cane syrup based rums are a thing. If you haven't tried one yet in the form of Clairin or this thing or any of the others out there, you totally should. 86 points for the San James, 89 question mark for the Clairin Sonson. Thanks for watching. I hope this was informative, and cheers.